Good afternoon and welcome. I am Uyai Imam, coming to you live from Uyo, the Akwa Ibom State capital. This is Spotlight Africa. We're bringing you stories all around the continent. Today on Spotlight Africa, LCC reaffirms Egypt's support for Somalia's territorial integrity at Cairo meeting. Guinea-Bissau opposition leader summoned to military court over coup allegations. Eritrea rejects Ethiopian claims of troops operating inside its borders. Ghana recalls envoy to Nigeria over alleged electoral malpractice. In other news, army says ISWAP-linked rebels kill at least 20 in Congo village attack. These stories are all just ahead on Spotlight Africa. Stay with us. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. First on Spotlight Africa, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi welcomed his Somali counterpart Hassan Sheikh Mohamud to Cairo for talks and deepening cooperation between their two nations. Speaking at a press conference at the presidential palace, el-Sisi warned that any threat to Somalia's territorial integrity would undermine regional security. President Mohamud echoed the sentiment and stressed that regional stability is a shared priority for African and Arab states. El-Sisi said they also discussed Egypt's anticipated participation in the African Union mission in Somalia, announced in 2024, and cooperation in combating terrorism. Guinea-Bissau's main opposition leader, Domingos Simões, has been summoned to appear before military courts, accused of links to multiple coup plots, according to judicial and military sources. Pereira, head of the PAGC party that led Guinea-Bissau to independence in 1974, was arrested during the November coup that toppled President Umaro Sissoco Embalo just days after presidential elections. Although released last month, he remains under house arrest over separate financial crime investigations. Now, the military says he is suspected of involvement in at least 2 attempted coups in late 2023 and October 2025. Guinea-Bissau has suffered 5 coups since independence, with chronic poverty, corruption and drug trafficking fueling ongoing instability. We head over now to Tanzania, where the Foreign Minister Mohamed Thabit held talks with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov in Moscow on Monday, in the latest sign of strengthening relations between the two countries. During the meeting, Congo delivered a letter from Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan to Russian President Vladimir Putin, underscoring the Salam's commitment to expanding bilateral cooperation. Speaking after the talks, Congo thanked the Russian leadership for what he described as efforts to elevate relations between the two nations. He said the importance of strategic cooperation with Russia had been highlighted by President Hassan in a recent address to diplomats and international organizations based in Tanzania. Russia and Tanzania have steadily expanded cooperation in recent years, particularly in defense, trade and energy, as Moscow increases its diplomatic and economic footprints across Africa. Lavrov welcomed the growing partnership, expressing satisfaction with cooperation between the two countries in international forums. He highlighted collaboration at the United Nations and within the broader framework of Russia-Africa strategic engagement. The Russian Foreign Minister also said discussions were underway on the timing and venue of the 3rd Russia-Africa Summit, signaling Moscow's intention to maintain momentum in its relations with African states. Elsewhere, tensions are rising in the Horn of Africa after Eritrea forcefully rejected Ethiopian claims that its troops are operating inside Ethiopian territory. Asmara called the accusations false and fabricated after Ethiopia demanded Eritrean forces withdraw, accusing them of backing insurgents fighting federal troops, particularly in the Amhara region. Eritrea's information minister says the allegations were part of a hostile campaign against his country and insisted Eritrea has no desire to escalate tension. Relations between the two neighbors have long been volatile. Eritrea gained independence from Ethiopia in 1993, but the countries later fought a brutal border war that killed tens of thousands. Although Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed once pursued peace, earning a Nobel Prize, the alliance fractured after the Tigray War, which killed at least 600,000 people. Disputes over troop withdrawals, rebel alliances, and Ethiopia's push for sea access continue to strain an already fragile relationship. On a rather sad development, tens of thousands of people have been forced from their homes in northern Morocco due to heavy rains and flooding. It was through a call from her local mosque loudspeakers that Kassia El Salami learned it was time to flee as floodwaters rose in her Moroccan village of Ouled Amour. Salami is among more than 150,000 people to have been evacuated over the past week as heavy rainfall battered provinces in Morocco's north. The floods have killed 4 people so far, including a 2-year-old child, with 1 person still missing as of Sunday, Moroccan authorities reported. Some residents, including children and the elderly, were seen stranded on rooftops before being rescued, at times with small boats. Others were rescued by helicopter as floodwaters inundated roads and farmland in several areas. Near Kenitra, some 50 kilometers north of Rabat, authorities have set up a vast camp of small blue tents sheltering nearly 40,000 people, including Salami and her children. At the camp, evacuees make do with little while waiting to be able to return home. Now to South Africa. There has been an announcement that the withdrawal of its troops from a United Nations mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo is tentative. President Cyril Ramaphosa's office said that he had informed the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres of the decision. South Africa has supported the United Nations Organization Stabilization Mission in the DRC for 27 years and has more than 700 soldiers deployed there. The presidency said Pretoria will work jointly with the UN to finalize the timelines and other modalities of the withdrawal, which will be completed before the end of this year. It said the decision to leave MONUSCO was influenced by the need to consolidate and realign the resources of the National Defense Force. Away from that, rebels affiliated with the Islamic State group killed 66 people in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, local officials reported over the weekend. Fighters with the Allied Democratic Forces, which has ties to IS, killed civilians in the area of Urumu in the east of the country bordering Uganda. The attack comes as Eastern Congo may see an end to its ongoing war with M23, a separate rebel group which is backed by Rwanda, another of Congo's neighbors. Jean Toby Okala, the spokesperson for the United Nations mission in Ituri in Eastern Congo, called the attack a bloodbath. The ADF is a Ugandan Islamist group that operates on both sides of the porous border. All the victims, including women, were killed with machetes, said the president of a local civil society, Marcel Paluku. The number of people taken hostage is yet unknown. The attack is suspected to be in response to an escalating bombing campaign by joint Congolese and Ugandan forces that started on Sunday. The number of ADF fighters in Congo is unclear, but there are significant presence in the region and regularly attack civilians. The group originated in the late 1990s in neighboring Uganda and became affiliated with IS in 2019. Muslims make up about 10% of the Congolese population, most of them in the east. In another development, the government of Ghana has recalled its High Commissioner to Nigeria, Mohammed Ahmed, following allegations linking him to electoral malpractice during a party primary election in Ghana. The recall was ordered by President John Mahama and announced in a presidential statement issued on Saturday. According to the statement, the directive took immediate effect, with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs instructed to carry out the necessary diplomatic and administrative processes. The decision was connected to allegations of voter inducement and vote buying during the National Democratic Congress parliamentary primary in the Ayawaso East constituency. Malian appeal court upholds former Prime Minister Moussa Mara's prison sentence. Stay tuned for details of this and more in a moment. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. This is still Spotlight Africa. We head now to Senegal, where police say they have broken up a pedophile gang operating between France and the West African country. According to a statement, 14 people appeared in court on Friday, charged with organized pedophilia, pimping, rape of minors under 15, sodomy, and intentional transmission of HIV and AIDS. All the defendants are Senegalese. 4 of them are accused of having acted on the instructions of a French man arrested in northern France last year. Police say the group has been active since 2017. Members allegedly forced young boys to have unprotected sex with men, most of whom were HIV positive. The alleged rapes were reportedly filmed. Police carried out raids in Dakar and the city of Kaolack. Away from that, with the holy month of Ramadan starting next week, Muslims around the world are getting ready. Sudan is no exception, despite from the United Arab Emirates and the United States. The UN's humanitarian chief said they have set the start of Ramadan on 17th of February as a deadline to make visible progress on the project. Meanwhile, a Malian appeal court has upheld the prison sentence of former Prime Minister Moussa Mara, convicted over social media posts expressing support for political prisoners. Mara, who served as Prime Minister from 2014 to 2015, was charged last October with undermining the credibility of the state and opposing legitimate authority. In July, he posted online that he had met detained political figures and promised them justice. He has been in prison since August 1. On Monday, a judge in Bamako confirmed his sentence: 2 years in jail, once suspended, and a 500,000 CFA francs fine. His lawyer says the legal fight is not over, vowing to appeal to Mali's Supreme Court. Mali has been ruled by a military junta since coups in 2020 and 2021. Since then, authorities have intensified a crackdown on dissent, targeting politicians, the media, and dissolving political parties. To wrap up Spotlight Africa today, a rubber boat carrying 55 passengers, including 2 babies, has overturned off the coast of Libya. The UN Migration Agency reports the only survivors, 2 Nigerian women, were rescued by the Libyan authorities on Friday. The International Organization for Migration (IOM) announced on Monday the boat was carrying migrants and refugees from various African countries. The boat sank after taking on water approximately 6 hours after departing from the coastal city of Al-Zawiya in northwestern Libya. The IOM says the almost 500 migrants have been reported dead or missing trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea from Libya so far in 2026. Libya has become a staging point for migrants from sub-Saharan Africa seeking to reach Europe since longtime leader Muammar Gaddafi was killed in 2011. Survivors told IOM that the rubber dinghy had departed at around 23:00 local time from Al-Zawiya, west of Tripoli. It returned several hours later in the early hours of Friday north of Zuwara. It is not immediately clear why it has taken so long for the news to emerge. One of the 2 survivors said she had lost her husband, while the other reported that her 2 babies had died. The agency reported IOM teams provided both women with emergency medical care at the time of rescue. And that's what we have for you today, bringing you stories all around the continent. This is Spotlight Africa, brought to you by Spectrum Television. Do well to follow us on social media, subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. We are MM. Good afternoon.